Everyone, welcome back to the industry brief. Today we're going to talk about the acquisition of Warner Brothers from Netflix, and which is absolutely wild. Spencer, what are your thoughts so far on this acquisition?
Hey, it sounds like we're just going back to cable at this point. My first thought was how much are they going to raise their subscriptions, but my second thought was what's going to happen with all their IP. In particular, they've got a lot of IP that's made for some pretty good video games. I mean, the entire Arkham series. So they got all of DC, right? They've got Harry Potter,
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, Lego, um, rights to Lego games.
Think about like even multiverses, right? Like all of
Yeah,
those, all of that IP that was in there, all that IP, all those cartoons.
yeah, and that IP is really really important. I think it's take multiverses for an example, right? That is that's a genre that's hard to crack into the 2D fighting arena. It's
I mean, it
basically just
failed, but
yeah. It did fail, right? But I actually saw as something. The Game Awards are going on right now as we speak, but multiverses was, you know, I think going to announce something. So, and the bottom line is that if they announce something and people are going to try it out because they like the IPs.
mm-hmm.
So if they can nail the gameplay and actually like get it fluid and if they even got it feeling, 80% of what Smash Bros feels or 90%, people be like, yeah, I get to beat up Superman as Batman. It's the same reason people like the Injustice games, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, just think about, I would say, if they could take Smash and make it more accessible, right?
Mhm.
Play it on my PC, play it online, I would flock to it.
Yeah.
So many people would flock to it. It's just Smash is so inaccessible. I don't play it right now. It's hard to play with friends. It's just, you know what I mean? So if they could make that happen with that IP, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It would work great. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of IP that's up for grabs, and I'm interested to see what happens to the gaming side of that.
I think on that though, I think the most interesting thing I've seen on this whole acquisition is what the Netflix co-CEO Gregory Peters said. So some of you may have heard this, but he specifically stated, and I have the quote here, that Netflix did not attribute any value to Warner Bros. Game division and its deal value. So, like, they didn't attribute any value to this acquisition.
Zero?
Zero. And so specifically, this is what he said. Peters said, while Warner had done great work in the game space, we actually didn't attribute any value to that from the get go because they're relatively minor compared to the grand scheme of things. The CEO, basically, in the valuation for this acquisition, gaming was valued as zero. We're talking Hogwarts Legacy. We're talking Lord of the Rings games. I'm trying to think. We're talking Mortal Kombat,
Mortal Kombat, Arkham, or Batman, right?
Lego
Um,
games. I mean, I grew up on Lego games, so all those things were valued as fat zero,
and
which is
this
fascinating.
includes the own studios, right?
Yeah, they own some game studios, right? We Nether Realm I have here. We have Avalanche. So Avalanche is the one that made Hogwarts Legacy, by the
Right,
way.
yeah, and another realm, Mortal Kombat, Rocksteady, the Arkham series. Those are some decent. Those are some pretty, maybe not household, but among gamers, almost household names. Um, and they put a big zero on that. Like, aren't they buying the teams or the human capital that those studios have assembled?
And you got to just make sure there's clarity here. It doesn't mean that they're not acquiring these people. It doesn't mean these studios didn't have value. It's more of when Netflix did their analysis of how much is Warner Brothers worth to them, right? Like that's the critical thing to understand. There was an analysis done. There's all sorts of things that go into acquisitions. especially an acquisition like this. I think
Yeah,
was it 84 billion, 82 billion. What was the exact number?
I think it's like 82.7.
82.7 billion. Like having kind of sat on the side, and I'm familiar with some, acquisitions. Obviously these acquisitions have been small, 20 million, 80 million that, some people I know, like this is a whole otherworldly. But when an acquisition happens, you're basically going through and you're looking through all the numbers. By like this is a numbers game. You're looking at financials and you're saying, because usually what you're doing is you're buying revenue for a year and then with some kind of multiple. So if, let's say revenue,
Mm-hmm.
Warner Brothers revenue, let's say was 5 billion last year. And actually, could you look that up just while
Yeah, yeah.
like, let's say, and he'll look up that exact number. So whatever their revenue was last year, and we'll say it's 82.7 billion. So maybe that was, maybe you made 10 billion, right? That's an 8x multiple, right? They value them at 8 times what their revenue was.
Yeah, 39.3.
They made 39.3 billion last year. Okay, so they're valuing them only maybe 2x, a little bit, which is actually kind of crazy.
Yeah, that is kind of wild. I mean, for like IP like that you could milk that for a lot. I mean, Hogwarts Legacy alone generated $1 billion in the revenue. And if that's what he's saying is a small piece of it, I mean, like how much did the Batman movies make?
And I don't know. Again, I think it's more of what they value themselves, but that is crazy to me. So let's unpack that. So 82.7 billion. We're saying their revenue was 39 billion last year. Yeah, dude, that's barely a 2x multiple. I mean, that's something you'd hate to see
Yeah.
as an owner, right?
Uh,
Because you
yeah, they must be in some kind of financial dire straits.
they must there must be something else going on here, right? And you got to remember, like, that's revenue, not profits, right? So that is not their profits, and so I'd be curious to know what their profit margin was. But regardless, I'm assuming, so there's going to be a couple of things that I assume here. So I think the question is, like, why did Netflix value games as nothing?
Yeah.
I have some thoughts, but do you have any thoughts before I fire off
No,
what I
no,
think?
no, fire. Yeah, I want to hear it. This is business, and so I want to get it from the business guy.
So I had three thoughts. I had number one, I just don't think video games fit Netflix current strategy. They've dabbled, so I think there's this perception
They have a
that
cloud service, right?
they
Or are they making one?
they're in gaming, right? And they've made some games you can play on Netflix.
Like Snake or something?
Yeah, and they're small games. And so I remember, though, they had Hades on there at one point. I don't know if that's still the case. So they did dabble. They have dabbled with even bringing in third-party games and having them host. But it doesn't look like they've really committed or done much, and I don't know how deeply they've gone in. But from my understanding, I don't I don't see it increasing why people pay for Netflix, right? Like, the majority of people that are paying for Netflix pay to watch something, and they're there, it's a subscription model. So the question is, will adding video games to their platform increase
Subscriptions, right?
subscriptions? And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
Yeah, okay, yeah. It's like if you're the owner of a sorry, apartment complex, right? And you're trying to justify a capital improvement, like adding a pool, adding some grills or some amenities or something, or adding granite countertops. It's well, will this increase your occupancy rate, or will this increase what you can charge for rent?
100%, those are your two options, right? Can you
Mm-hmm.
increase the cost that your current customers pay,
Yep.
or can you get more people to join?
Yeah.
So I just don't see, there's already so much pushback on increasing costs, right? And they're doing it more through ads. I think there's way more cost-effective ways to be able to rationalize increasing the price of their subscription model, right? Of their subscription. So I just don't think it's, for number one, I don't think it's a good fit for that. Number two, again, I just don't see it bringing in that many new users, right? Like gamers, there's already so many platforms, the amount of time it would take to build that. So I think that was number one. Number two, I think Warner Brothers. So to be clear, my first reason is I just don't think it fits Netflix strategy. I just think
Fritz's model.
it doesn't. I think their IP is so valuable, so obviously, but I don't think it fits their model. I don't think it's going to increase any kind of value, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of monetary value. So number two, just I feel like the Warner Bros. Game is like they have a hit and then a lot of misses, right? They've lost a lot of money,
Yeah, and
and so
I feel like any consist or like any well-worn IP tends to go down that route.
it. You just think about. I'm trying to think of the games. Multiverses, millions, tens of millions of dollars flop. Suicide Squad
Yeah, Suicide
flop.
Squad. No, like a few years ago, you had Gotham Knights, which I guess the revenue on that one was about 80 to 150 million, which I don't know how much you're getting back from after development and marketing costs.
So I wonder if even like
Yeah,
from a revenue standpoint, I wonder if they were pretty zeroed out, right? Like they've lost some, they've made some.
yeah, it's true. I mean, you've got like Hogwarts Legacy, you know, released in 2023, and it's estimated over 2 billion. You know, and so like yeah. So I get it's like, yeah, so you look at Hogwarts Legacy, you say, oh well, why aren't they valuing this? But then, then you take in all of the poor performing games that they still spent, 100 million in development on, and maybe it's a bit of a wash.
And I think it is a wash, right? So I don't think it fits Netflix current strategy. I wrote down, I think Warner Brothers isn't actually like the gaming division isn't actually profitable. I'm
Mm.
assuming it's pretty zeroed out. Lots of losses, lots of gains. You know what I mean? So I think that's another reason. Then again, I think
Okay, but like, let's think about that for a second, though. If you can't make money off of some of the most recognizable IPs in existence, like
sure.
like what's wrong? Like if you can't make money in the gaming division, and they're kind of because gaming as an industry is growing year over year over year.
But it's an industry. It's well, people, the biggest mistakes I always see, and I always love the example of venture capital because I think they're the best
Yeah.
examples. So, some good friends of mine over at Phoenix Ventures, they're an example. I remember I had this idea where I wanted to help game developers. I wanted to start kind of a what's called a syndicate or VC adjacent, where I help indies get funded, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
because I really think an indie studio with, let's say, even 50K worth of funding, like imagine if you invested in, let's say you had $1 million you raised, you get 20 indie games. One of those might pop, right? Like and do really well. And so you could win back your money and all this stuff. But like I pitched some of my friends in that space, Phoenix, and I pitched a bunch of guys up in Utah. And I went around and people that want to invest in or invested in my old company. And all of them said no. And the reason why they all said, Cam, this is great. Next time you have a software idea, come back. But like this isn't our industry that we know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the same thing goes with Netflix. And the same thing, like I think it's smart of them because they don't know the gaming space. Yes, it's phenomenal IP, but IP, and I actually have a video I've been working on hardcore, but I really think that the key to a video game success, and I don't know if I want to ruin it here, but like I've been doing deep research on
This
this,
is for our dedicated listeners to get the preview,
the
right?
preview of it, but like it's like this holy triangle. It's
Yeah.
there's three pieces to this. It's IP is one of them, but it's IP, product, and model, right? And so it's like is the product is the gameplay, right? So gameplay is really hard. Gameplay is you,
Um.
and so that's the problem. I mean, Suicide Squad, the gameplay, dude, the IP was there.
Mm-hmm.
Gameplay sucked. You know what I mean?
Well, but even though I think what some people have been concerned about is uh, gameplay. Yeah, it wasn't great, but interestingly, a lot of the complaints about Suicide Squad that I heard um, were people just thought the story was dumb. You
For
know,
sure.
they like didn't, you know, they're like, okay, this is, I think it was supposed to be like Injustice Batman, and they just offed him. Like, and like people are like, dude, this was the Batman that went toe to toe with Superman, like a murderous dictatorial Superman. And I don't know, in a way, it's like they had the IP, but they disrespected the IP,
Mm,
you
yeah.
know?
Yes. I
And
mean, that's an element, obviously.
well, and I think that should be concerning because Netflix doesn't have a great track record of adaptations,
Sure.
right? I mean,
Terrible.
right? I mean, you had Cavill, Henry
Yeah.
Cavill,
Yeah. Henry Cavill with The Witcher.
yeah, right. And I mean, and this dude is he's like the Giga Chad that all nerds hope to be. That's what we want to find. We want to extract out our inner Henry
Beyond
Cavill,
good looking. I mean, I try. I bring on the mustache. Just.
right? The man from Uncle right here.
Mm,
But no, I mean, like, you know, the dude loves his nerddom, and he
hmm.
respects it, right? And I mean, I saw countless articles where they were saying, you know, Henry Cavill, and interviews with him where he was talking about his time on the show and how he was saying, well, no, 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 you can't, talking to the writers and the showrunners and stuff, and saying, well, you can't do that because that contradicts the lore. Because the dude went and read all the books and probably played the games too.
I think, yeah, I remember watching an interview. He's like, I played the games first, loved them, went
Yep.
and read all the books. So, I mean, like, the dude knew the
Stuff
IP, he knew
like
the
he
lore,
was
he
he
knew
was
the
a
world.
fan first, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so then he tried to like instill some of that, and he got so much pushback, the dude just left.
Well, and that, and so that's always going to be right. So let's even go back to that, right? That beautiful triangle, which I am so adamant. I have, for this video, I was doing analysis of all these games, and I've been working on all this stuff. And this is some of the things we talked about. Even would love to do a podcast on this, but like,
Yeah.
and deep dives of these. But I have been breaking this down, and it's so critical that the IP, yes, you have the IP, but the IP, and I actually call it the world. I change it from the IPs, and I call it the world. So you have the world, the gameplay, and the model, right? I think that those are the three pieces. And in regards to the world, yeah, part of the world is like is what people are going to expect from that, right? It stays cohesive. But like multiverses, that was cohesive. That was incredible. All the voice acting, they had so much going, but the gameplay just sucked.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, Netflix. So what do I think this means then? So like, what do you think it means if Netflix doesn't care?
Yeah.
What happens? What happens to these studios? What happens to these games?
I
I
mean,
think,
they're just going to languish, right? They're going to be shut down, or I don't know why you keep a bunch of talented people like at Avalanche just on retainer.
and I don't think you keep them on retainer. I think they now have the problem with acquisitions, and I dealt with this even at the previous company I was at. They acquired somebody, and this was a smaller company, but it's like the moment they acquired somebody, it distracts, right? It adds another vertical, adds layers, adds depth, adds confusion. And so, but they have acquired it, and they have the capacity. The way I see it is they offload it, right? And what I mean by
Yeah.
that is they'll probably license, right? Let other
Yeah.
people, they'll pay them for access to the IP, because yes, they have the IP, but they're not good at making gameplay, and they don't have any kind of
Yeah.
incentive. But it's still going to be a model where they can make money without doing any kind of work. So
Yeah.
like, I
So,
definitely see
so you're saying
licensing.
that they're going to just shut down the existing studios
Mm,
and then just license out the IP?
they might consolidate. I think it always looks bad. It depends on how willing they are to tarnish their brand, right? Like, I think there's some nuance here, right? If it was a purely business move, and there was no publicity, I think they would do that. Because it's not, I think they'll probably consolidate, keep studios, keep people on. I don't know.
I don't know if even it would damage their brand that much, because this isn't like Xbox
Yeah.
doing, like, it's not a pure game acquisition, right? So
Yep.
it's like, Xbox is acquiring Activision Blizzard, like that was about games. And then when they shut down a studio, it was like, well, what are you doing? Whereas like if Netflix is like, yeah, we shut down something that we valued at zero, like people aren't thinking like they're like, oh yeah, well I guess whatever. I mean, Netflix is still Netflix, you
Yeah.
know. It's like nobody's gonna like say like I don't watch Netflix because they shut down a game studio. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's different audience. So that's a
yeah,
good point. I don't know. Obviously, I think it's I don't know. They are in gaming kind of, right? They have
they've tried. But here's the thing, dude. I think the streaming world, this is probably actually more indicative of what's going on, is that the streaming world is going through contractions right now,
yeah, huge
and
ones.
that's Netflix's world. Like you said, why add any distraction? And the bottom line is that you need way more complicated infrastructure to handle streaming cloud games than you do for streaming, just movies and
100%.
shows, right? And as games get more complicated, that's only going to become more complicated. So it's like, why would they even bother?
So here's a counterpoint, which I think is important to understand. Have they maximized their capacity in terms of I wonder what their growth is. Are they just not growing that much? You have the way to make money is you either increase, right, your current vertical revenue, right? So their streaming revenue. How do they do that? They need to get more users or they need to increase prices, right? Like, but have they, I mean, it's like Facebook, right? I remember they were saying they reached critical mass, right? They reached this critical mass. I mean, they had billions of users, right? Like, what do you do next? Right? When you reach critical mass, there's no more growth. And
Yeah,
businesses that stagnate fail,
see,
right? Like,
yeah.
and
So
so
then they like acquire Instagram or
they acquire. So and they usually use acquisitions to enter new verticals, right?
yeah, okay,
And so, or think about Meta acquired. Was it not Oculus? Was it Oculus? Who did
who?
Meta?
Yeah, no, they acquired Oculus. Yeah,
Yeah, I was trying to make sure. So yeah,
you're
they
right.
acquired Oculus to get into VR.
Yeah, isn't that guy that went off and made a Andrew?
I don't know.
He went off and made the make Palantir. He made the other defense contractor. It's
I was
named.
like, Palantir. Holy.
No. Yeah, but no, I think it's the guy that made Oculus. He got fired from Meta, and then he went off and made. Man, I'm butchering it. It's a name from Lord of the Rings, but anyways, I digress. Go
No,
on.
I did not know that. But yeah, so it could be like there's a lot of coulds here. There's acquisition could be that they're trying to enter new verticals. But it would be odd to me. They're not trying to enter gaming, especially with that kind of statement. Like we valued it at big
Yeah,
fat zero. So I think the question is, I think they bought all this obviously for the IP. Are they trying to get into the movie space more? But theaters are struggling.
yeah,
Like theaters are going away, it feels like.
yeah, for sure. I mean, well, I don't know. They're
They're
just
going
changing.
away.
It's
Yeah.
changing. I mean, it's like I think people always kind of crave that, but it's modifying what kind of it's.
Well, they need to change the model.
Yeah,
Like Movie Pass was incredible when I
we,
had Movie Pass.
yeah, we all knew it wasn't gonna last. They were burning through
No,
money at like an insane rate.
it was the most amazing thing. I remember my wife and I, we both got passes. It was $140 for both of us for a whole year of free movies.
Dude, right? Like, and like, how many movies could you go to for a month?
No, you could go to one every single day.
Dude, like that's wild. Like, there's no
If
way
you went
they.
to one a month, they lost money. And I could go to one every single day. Like the model made no sense. And it's still, it was
That was
awesome.
fun. Man,
Fun year.
who is funding it? Was it Citadel? No, who was that? Man, but I remember we were all just like watching the justification. They're like, no,
Well,
we need to keep pumping some more cash into this.
when it completely crashed and became a penny stock, I bought like 100 shares. It was like, or like, I don't know, I think it was like a couple
like
thousand shares. I can't remember
like
what
like
I, yeah, I think I put in like $30 because I was like, oh, you never know. You know what I mean?
on the off chance.
I think it's Helios and Mattheos or something like that. It was the company, dude. They they went to zero. Obviously, they got kicked off the stock market. My point is like the model needs to change. So I don't know what Netflix is doing. Partly, I kind of fascinated by this acquisition because it's not like they couldn't get Warner Bros. Content on Netflix, and I'm like, it just seems surprising. I'm still trying to wrap my brain around why they bought it for that
Why they
much
why would they buy for that? You know what's interesting is Netflix's revenue was only 39 million last year. This is basically on
revenue or billion or
39
30,
billion. 39 million. No,
39
30.
million dollars.
I could do that.
So
No.
it basically is the same as Warner Brothers.
Yeah, same size. Now the difference is that they have reach, cuz
Yeah,
I
they have the
think
platform.
yeah, cuz like they have HBO Max, which is a good streaming service, but I almost put it into the kind of like the higher tier like Apple TV, where it's
It's
a
more
little bit more
niche.
niche. Yeah, it's like you just subscribe to Apple for the like 5 shows that are just legit.
You will cancel Apple. I don't cancel my
Absolutely.
Netflix. Right.
Uh,
Like yeah. I join it, do the 7-day trial, and then peace.
watch all of Severance and then bow
That's
out.
exactly right. I did that with Ted Lasso and Severance. So I just I don't know how this is going to impact gaming. I think so. What are some positives? What do you think? Like, I have some thoughts, but what are some positives of this acquisition?
Some positives.
Are there?
I'm trying not to be so pessimistic. Probably should have thought of this, but man, positives. Well, we're probably going to see more usage of those IPs. Like Netflix is good at putting out lots of stuff, and I mean, gamers like watching shows. We like shows with the IPs that we love, and
Yeah.
comic book heroes are great. I'd love to see more animated.
Are we going to see a Disney Plus though? Kind of crap with the DC universe now. I mean, just the amount of
That
Marvel stuff
that's
on.
like I think that's actually like one of the issues is that Netflix was basically doing the quantity not quality route,
They have been.
right, for a very long time, and I think this is a signal that is floundering. So them pushing out so like just so much, they've basically exhausted all IPs that they have. Occasionally, Stranger Things season 5, I think, came out.
Yeah.
I used to like
Well,
care
part of
about.
it.
I used to care about that. Like I just don't care anymore. It's
But
it's
people
been
do. People. It has been a huge event. I will say they've done a good job.
okay. That's good on them, but that's also rapping, right? So like
Yeah. What else did they have?
they got Demon Hunters. Like Demon Hunters
That's
was
their new
great.
one.
That's
That
their
and
new IP, but
yes.
you get a golden goose every now and then, but so much of their other stuff is just not great. And
But that didn't
so
even come from in house. They got lucky. That was built by somebody else, by Sony, who just didn't even believe in their own project.
did Netflix not fund it?
No,
Really? So it was funded in-house by Sony?
Sony did. It was all Netflix bought it from them.
So Sony could have put it out into theaters instead, but they just didn't. And somebody screwed the pooch.
Well, dude, somebody at Sony is rolling.
Listen to this, dude. I was watching BYU Clemson basketball game in Madison Square Garden like yesterday. Crazy buzzer beater 3-pointer to finish it. Everybody's going crazy. You know what plays in the background? Golden. I mean, it's a huge IP now, right? So, but those are really hard to generate. besides that one, I can't really name a big IP that Netflix has generated and been able to rely on.
Rely on, yeah, Stranger Things. They had Squid Games, but it felt like that just died off. There's multiple seasons. I don't even know what those could be about.
Well, and also like so much of that is adult content. And this might be their way of trying to compete with Disney a little bit.
Totally.
You
I
get
mean,
some
Lord of the
IP.
Rings.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings is such a valuable IP. Harry Potter. I mean,
Harry
there's
Potter, dude. Like Harry Potter and like they're making a new Harry Potter show, right?
yeah, it's gonna be on HBO.
Which it would transfer to Netflix, right? But like all of these, like you go on HBO Max, like you essentially watch like Rick and Morty, like a couple of movies, and then they have the best part of HBO Max is they got the entire DC library there, dude. They've got the Batman, the animated series. They've got all the Justice League movies. Like they've got some good
Well,
cartoons on there, man.
they've got some old, like Band of Brothers is on there.
Yeah.
One of my all-time favorites, which is
So there's this great IP that is, I think, more IP that could be relatable to children, or at least like, just not adult content, right? I mean, like teenager, that type of thing, right?
and they do have old classics though. I mean, Netflix is newer, right? In the past 15 years. I mean, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Warner Brothers has been around for, I don't know, 100 years.
That's true. And I guess like one of the things that you get from streaming services is like take Peacock for example. Peacock has some staples that you just have in your library. They've got The Office, they've got Parks and Rec, they've got Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Like you
Those are
just get,
going nowhere, and people
yeah,
keep coming back to them.
it's like I will subscribe to this always just so that I can turn to my comfort food, my old familiar stuff, right? And I don't know, Netflix has comfort food. And so maybe they're trying to pad that backlog. And so, to kind of bring this all around, like you asked, like what are some positives I could think about? I could think that maybe this could take some pressure off of them trying to constantly sustain subscribers because now they have a really solid backlog that can just maintain a base level of subscribers for people that like that IP. And it could open up some creative pathways where they could start looking at doing more things with DC, more things with Harry
Sure.
Potter, right? And and even also, let's be honest, they could throw money at game studios now, right?
And I think, but so I think to, yeah, bring back the gaming, since that was kind of the, I mean, what we're supposed to be talking
So
about.
what industry? What industry do we brief on?
But that's I know. But I think in gaming, the one positive here is like, do they get way more open with licensing? And that's something that
Could
I
be.
have been really, I mean, Star Wars is a great example.
Mm-hmm.
Like Disney's not putting out games; they're licensing Star Wars. Like they in the Game Awards, there was a Star Wars game that was
Yeah.
announced.
No,
I
that's a
didn't see
really good
exactly,
point.
but
EA used to have a full lock on all Star Wars games.
not anymore.
No, and I think the world is a much better place when they are actually, because game like studios and publishers are really going to compete to get those licenses,
Yeah.
right?
Well, Lord of the Rings, man. I still can't believe they haven't made an MMO that is actually, and I get MMOs are just not in style anymore, but just dude, a Middle Earth MMO that is legit. You know what I mean? Like Amazon, I always think they made the New World. I'm like, imagine if that had been Lord of the Rings instead.
Dude. Yeah, right.
Like that would have been crazy. And so to me, that's where I see, like, if I'm Netflix, that's what I'd want to do is partner and license
Yeah,
just all, but like
right.
have
I
a
don't.
dedicated team towards making sure you get the right people that are getting the right
That's true.
licensing.
They're gonna have IP people managing it, but they're probably, I would see them either selling off the studios or just getting rid of that. I just don't think that's something they want to bother with. But there's literally no reason to not, license your games out. That's just free money sitting on the shelf, right? So, and then it's just up to, you just have a small team that their job is to try to identify the publishers and the studios that will actually nail. We got the IP, right? Like, who can nail the show me your gameplay, like, right?
And
And
that, yeah, that's that triangle. Like I would say this epiphany kind of finalized for me when I was at Brandon Sanderson's convention this last weekend, because like my game I've been making for years, Fallen Worlds with my buddies, I'm like, the game is actually really fun, but it's so uninteresting,
mhm,
to put it bluntly. It's just not interesting because it's just you have no idea what's going on. Why, like, you don't recognize the characters. The world is
just
very
press some
uninteresting.
buttons.
It's feels like a gameplay demo, right? It's fun,
But
but
generic.
but it's so generic. And that's because guess what? We're not artists.
Yeah.
But imagine, and I was there, I was like, imagine if I took this great gameplay and I got access to the Cosmere IP
Yeah.
and made all of this Cosmere related. Because I was there and they said they raised 28 million for their RPG, which is, like a D&D.
Yeah.
I'm like,
The tabletop.
28 million. Can you imagine how much money you can make or raise for a video game in the Cosmere? There's way more gamers than there are going to be, deep
Tabletop RPGers, yeah.
tabletop RPGers. And so, like, that is, I think, the same thing that's relevant here. If somebody has that beautiful triangle, if you have an incredible gameplay, oftentimes there's so many indies, it's just like your IP sucks.
Yeah.
And so imagine if you could slap on some IP. And I think that applies probably to AAA and everything else. But that is what I think is going to be the most valuable piece here is, and it goes back to why I understand why they probably didn't value gaming as anything. It's not. It's the IP. What's
CIP,
valuable
yeah.
is the IP. It's not maybe the gaming division itself, but their ability to go license it out. So
100%. And another positive in all of this, did you ever play Shadow of Mordor?
no, I watched it though, and I remember learning all about it.
Yeah. I dabbled, but the Nemesis system, which was that's been locked away in a patent
What
at,
is it still?
yeah, in WB's office. And it is, yeah, so it expires in 2036.
Long patent? Is it 15-year?
No,
20 year?
20-year patent. Issued the grant date, so they filed in 2016 and it was granted in 2021.
I hate patents like that.
Yeah. So it's 20 years from 2016. But that's been sitting on the shelf, and that was a super innovative gameplay idea. And it's like, well, maybe now we can see some of that tech that was developed. And that was, like you said, that had gameplay, that had IP. I would love to see more Lord of the Rings IP out there. I hope that Netflix actually dedicates some resources to making sure that this IP is used well. I mean, and to be fair, we don't actually know if Netflix will win. If it's Paramount, I hope they do the same thing.
I feel like I have less, and I don't know why, less confidence in Paramount.
I agree. I think they're a little bit more of a typical, like a traditional company.
100%.
And they're also looking to buy the entirety of WB. So that includes CNN. And so I know, right? It's all, there's like 5 companies, man. That own everything.
CNN?
Yeah. So CNN is excluded from the deal with Netflix.
Really? I didn't even know
Yeah.
that they were under WB.
Dude, this is like news to me this week as well. But I mean, I don't know how much Netflix obviously doesn't want the CNN brand.
I think that's smart. I'm like, stay away from any kind of news brands, by the way.
Yeah, dude, they're complicated.
Well, people are going to say that you're influencing, like, the moment you're at all involved with CNN, MSNBC, Fox, it's like people will think you're manipulating.
Right. And I think Paramount and Skydance already own one of the other ones. It might be MSNBC. But so they have a little bit more familiarity in that arena. But that's even another reason why they will likely ignore the gaming division. They've got even more, pots on the stove, right?
I almost hope Netflix, for the sake of at least the gaming, because like Hogwarts Legacy, I was playing that a week or two ago, right now. I'm playing it because my son likes to watch, right? Like that's a neat game. And I don't know why we don't have more like that. It was in the Wizarding World. It was unique. It was a different story. Getaway, like it's in the world. That's why, it's not the Harry Potter world, but it's, in the world. And so I don't know. I would love to see more like that, like more Lord of the Rings, more like the First Age, Second Age, right? Like, can you imagine? Like, there's so much creativity there, and it's so untapped because of, I don't know why, but because there's been limitations. And so I'd like to see that.
So like my ideal scenario would be that Netflix, I don't trust them to really respect existing IP. But I do expect the studios that would maybe apply to try to get those licenses that are likely going to be made from, the people that made Avalanche, obviously very passionate about the IP. Like the castle is the whole world is just incredible. Like it's very well done.
Very well done.
And so you're going to find people that are like, dude, we've, teams of people that have great ideas for these IPs that if they could just touch it, they will, go create
Make
something
magic.
great. Yeah, they'll make magic, right? So again, it's like it comes back to is that I have a lot of faith in developers. I got a lot of faith in indie developers, and if they can just, if Netflix will be a little bit more laissez-faire with their licenses, I think we could really see some good stuff. Or it gets locked in the chest with the Nemesis system.
Never touched again.
Right.
Well, we'll see what happens. I think that's probably it for today. But thanks everyone for joining. I think we actually might do another special one,
bonus episode on the Game Awards
for you, all you amazing viewers. So many of you,
tens of you.
All right. Well, thanks. I'll see you guys next time.